On the night my husband told me his ex would join our Christmas dinner, the snow outside our window fell in a calm, steady hush-nothing, like the storm rising quietly inside me. I nodded, smiled, played the part he expected. But what he did not see was the truth already unfolding behind my eyes. Because while he was preparing a perfect holiday tableau, I was preparing a revelation. And when the doorbell finally rang, it was not the guest he expected who stepped inside. The linen is white as winter light. I smooth it across the table while rain drifts past the windows in slow silver threads. Our apartment in Capitol Hill is austere by design. Gray walls, clean lines, no clutter. It is the kind of beauty that looks best in photographs and feels least like a home. Grayson does not look up from his phone. He lifts his glass, tastes the scotch, and says, almost gently, "Sloan is coming for Christmas. Keep it gracious." The word hangs between us like cold breath. Somewhere inside the building, a bell rings. Not ours, not yet. But the sound moves through the hallways and lays a tone under the room, a single note of tension that does not fade. Title card. Then the rain keeps falling. I used to plan evenings like this for other people. Contract dinners, award galas, fundraisers by the lake. I still remember the wind along Lake Union the night Grayson proposed. Lanterns on the dock. Fingers numb from the cold. His certainty the warmest thing in the world. Later, the decision that looked like love, but turned out to be surrender. He suggested I leave the agency. We did not need the money, he said. I told myself I did not need the noise. I told myself I liked quiet. The quiet made room for his taste. Gray replaced color. Straight lines replaced softness. At dinners with his colleagues, I learned to fold myself small at the end of the table, the place where conversations go to rest. My sister Jenna told me once, in a voice that tried to be gentle, "You shrink when you stand next to him." I laughed it off. I said I was tired. I said the light in that restaurant was unflattering. Even then, I knew I was explaining away something I should have named. The night the real story begins, the apartment is a gallery of dim reflections. Grayson is asleep, one arm across my side of the bed. His phone lies face up on the nightstand. I see the screen brighten, a small square of daylight in the dark. A preview banner blooms and fades, then blooms again. Cannot wait to be back in town. Another banner. A calendar reminder. Client lunch, Four Seasons Thursday. I do not touch the phone. I do not open anything. I let the previews rise and fall like a tide I refuse to enter. I lie awake and watch the ceiling until the shadows pale into morning. By noon the following day, I know I will not go through his device. I will not be another person who breaks a line to fix a wound. I dress, tie my hair back, and walk out into the Seattle drizzle with a name I found on a neighborhood board 3 blocks over from my old office. Her name is Nina Alvarez. She waits for me at a small table in a Capitol Hill cafe that still smells like new paint. She looks like a woman who knows the difference between a rule and a wall. "Tell me what you think is happening," Nina says. I tell her only what I have seen. Notification previews, a calendar entry, a sense. She listens without interrupting, then folds her hands. "I am a licensed investigator," she says. "Here is what I can do, and here is what I will not do. I can observe in public spaces. I can photograph what is in plain view. I can follow patterns, confirm times and places, and document what anyone could see if they were standing where I am standing. I will not access devices. I will not enter private property without consent. If we record anything inside your home, we do it because you live there and you give permission. Everything must be lawful. Everything must hold up if anyone asks hard questions. The rules calm me. They feel like the edges of a map. What do you need from me? I ask. Routine, Nina says. A journal. Write down the simple things. When he leaves, when he returns. Receipts. reservations that use the household card. Do not change your habits. Do not tip your hand. You are not trying to catch him in a trap. You are trying to show the truth with light that is clean. I nod. Then I say the other word I have been carrying. We signed a prenup. I signed quickly. I was in love. I did not think I would ever need to read it like law. Then let a lawyer read it for you, Nina says. I can recommend someone who will explain what matters and what does not. The office of Taylor Brooks looks over a gray sheet of Elliott Bay. She is direct without being sharp, and her desk is an orderly field of files. Washington is a no-fault state, she says after she scans the digital copy of my agreement. Courts do not punish adultery by awarding or withholding property. That is the law. However, prenuptial agreements can fall apart for other reasons. Unconscionability, lack of disclosure, coercion. And sometimes there are morality clauses. If there is language about public embarrassment or conduct that harms a spouse's reputation, that can matter. Let me read with care. Send me the cleanest copy you have. I forward the scan. On my way out, she stops me with a look. Whatever happens, document with respect, Taylor says. You are not making a spectacle. You are protecting yourself. Rain and a week of patience. Nina works like Rain works. Quiet, persistent. She sends me a brief with dates and times. Grayson at the Four Seasons lobby on Thursday at 2:15, seated at a low table with a woman whose hair I recognize from photographs. Their knees angle toward one another. He touches her wrist as he laughs. The timestamp is a neat match to his calendar alert. On Saturday, a record from our joint card shows a garage ticket near her building downtown. That document is not stolen. It is ours. The meter reader does not care who parks where. Nina does not reach for anything that is locked. I do not ask for more than I need. I do not tell Jenna, though I answer her texts with more words than I did before. When I finally sleep, it is the dreamless sleep of a mind that has decided to move. Taylor calls on a Tuesday after 5. I have read it, she says. Your agreement contains a clause about public conduct harmful to the marriage. It does not name adultery, but it names public embarrassment and reputational harm. The clause is narrow, but it is there. If there is proof of a long-standing relationship that crosses personal and professional circles, and if the conduct becomes public, the clause could be challenged. That does not mean you fight in the street. It means you can ask a court to set some language aside. I look at the window. The sound is a sheet of dark glass, and the fairies move across it like steady lanterns. Thank you, I say. One more question. Ask, Taylor says. If it is not only my husband, I say. If she is also entangled with her own superior, does the public nature of that conflict matter to them more than it matters to me? Taylor is silent for a moment. When she speaks, her voice is precise. It will matter to them. Whether you are the one who tells them is a separate question. If you decide to reach out, do not accuse. Offer to let them verify what belongs to them. Do not share anything that violates privacy or law. Do not threaten. Invite clarity. Clarity. The word feels like a tool. That night, I set the table with measured hands. I place the plates, fold the napkins, light the candles, then blow them out again. I open my laptop and build a simple folder of what can be seen and shared without crossing any line. Photographs taken in public spaces, times and places, a copy of the garage receipt that sits in our own household account. Nothing more. I write a careful message to a man I have never met. Mr. Edward Langford, you do not know me. My name is Ava Reed. I believe we are both close to a person who is not being honest with either of us. I am writing because I think you would prefer to see the truth yourself rather than hear it secondhand. I can provide times and places that you can verify with your own records. I will not send you anything that is not mine to share. If you wish to look, reply to this email. If you choose not to, I will not contact you again. There is one more sentence, because I know what it is to be the last to know. You should see this before Christmas. Nina stands behind me, a witness in plain clothes. Taylor is on speaker, the soft line of her voice the last frame of the map. Do not add more, Taylor says. This tone is right. My finger hovers above the key. The apartment is quiet, but for the small sound of rain at the window. I feel the line that separates suspicion from proof and the other line that separates hurt from action. I press send. The bell inside the building rings again, distant and clear, as if a hallway door has opened. I close the laptop and look at the white linen on the table, flat and perfect as fresh snow. Edward Langford replies before dawn. The subject line is a single word, why. The body is a paragraph of iron. Who are you? How did you get this? Do not contact my firm again. I sit at the kitchen island while the rain begins its soft rehearsal against the window. I breathe in, breathe out, and answer without heat. I send only what is mine to send. 2 photographs taken in open lobbies where 1,000 strangers pass each hour. A screenshot of our household garage charge near the courthouse. A list of hours and places that his own systems can test. I add the one sentence that turned the key for me. You would rather verify than wonder. Minutes pass like held breath. Then his second message arrives, stripped of posture. Meet me, Taylor calls as I reach for my coat. You will not give him more than a summary, she says. You will not accuse anyone by name. You will not provide anything that is not yours to provide. Invite him to confirm with his own entry logs and cameras. Keep the tone factual. You are not a herald. You are a mirror. Edward's office is a room of winter light above the bay. He stands behind his desk with his hands at his sides, as if even touch is a concession. I place a thin folder on the polished wood and keep my voice level. These are places and times that you can verify. Hotel lobbies? A restaurant where the tables face the street. The garage use is from our joint account. I am not sending you messages, emails, or anything private. I am not asking you to believe me. I am asking you to look where your own building keeps its records. His jaw is set. His eyes are disciplined. But when he glances down, a frame on his desk shifts his gaze. It is a photograph of Marion and 2 grown children on a shore of pale stones. His hand rests on the frame for a heartbeat. He does not ask me who I am again. He nods once. I will see what is mine to see, he says. That night, the city separates into small private windows. In one, Grayson stares at a performance review on his laptop. The screen casts a sterile light over his face. His phone rings and he answers without taking his eyes off the text. His mother's voice comes through thin and earnest. Your father expects partner this year. The words travel across the room and float above him like a weight that never falls. He says nothing for a long time. When he does speak, his voice has the practiced calm of a man who has learned not to show the cost. I am close, he says, and clicks the email closed. Across town, a bus crosses the Aurora Bridge. Sloane sits by the window with rain threading the glass. She lifts her phone, not to scroll, but to record a voice memo in a careful tone that has no audience yet. No mentors. No safety net, she says. The bus brakes and the light in the aisle flickers. She stops the recording and stares past her reflection into the water below. Between those windows, life keeps moving. Nina messages me at noon the next day. Pike Place, 20 minutes. When I arrive, the market is its own weather of footsteps and sound. She moves with the flow, small as a shadow, patient as a stone. Grayson and Sloane wait in a coffee line that folds around the corner. Their hands do not hold, but they reach for the same lid at the same moment and laugh. Nina lifts her camera only when their hands retreat, and the frame is the simplest kind of truth. Public light. Public space. A gesture that says more than speech because it does not try to. The near miss comes without warning. In the reflection of a bakery case, Grayson catches a shape that does not belong to his picture of the day. He turns his head a fraction, scanning the glass. Nina lowers her face and becomes another customer trying to read a menu. I call him at once, as if I have been thinking of him all morning. When he answers, I ask what he would like for dinner. I ask whether he needs anything from the dry cleaner. His attention slides back to the sound he can control. The moment passes. My hand trembles only after I end the call. Taylor texts me a sentence that is all bone. Do not post. Do not share. This is for court if needed. Edward's message arrives that evening. Entry logs confirm after hours access. Conference room bookings align. Thank you for the clarity. There is no outrage in the lines. There is only the cold movement of a man trying to steady the ground under his own house. Later that night, Marion finds the thread on their family iPad when a notification slides across the locked screen. She does not open anything. She does not ask him yet. She sets the device down on the table as if it might burn the wood. I send one card to one address from one overfull heart. Christmas, 6:30 p.m. Observe. The day before the dinner, I rehearse the technicals as if they are choreography. I test the television. The HDMI port blinks and falls to black. I switch cables. The signal wavers again. Taylor answers my call on the second ring. Print boards, she says. Large, clear, timestamps, places, nothing sensitive. If the screen fails, the paper will not. I spend the afternoon with a print shop on Pike Street, reading each caption aloud before I sign the receipt. When I carry the boards into our apartment, my arms know their weight. I slide them behind the sideboard where they vanish into shadow, ready without announcing themselves. On Christmas Day, the city is a wet lantern. I set the table with the white linen that started this season. I shift a chair a deliberate inch so that Grayson will sit near the place where Sloane will be most comfortable. I leave 2 settings quiet and waiting, like questions no one has asked yet. Jenna arrives early with a small box of tea and the face she wears when she is ready to hold me up if I fall. I tell her what she asked for weeks ago, but without the flames. I tell her that if voices rise, she will not step between them. If anything else rises, she will call Nina first, then the police. Her mouth tightens and she nods. She tucks her phone into her sleeve the way a nurse tucks a pen. Grayson walks in from the bedroom a little before 6 in a sweater that makes him look younger and more careful. He is carrying a gift bag in quiet gray. The tissue rustles like distant paper birds. He sets it where Sloane will see it and says, "For a guest who appreciates the finer things." He smiles, and there is triumph in it, but also nerves. He thinks the evening is a test he has already passed. I say, "It is a thoughtful gesture." I do not say what else it is. At 6 o'clock, the elevator hums and the hallway outside our door grows a little brighter. Sloane stands on the threshold in winter white, as composed as a portrait. She steps inside with a bottle of wine and a smile that measures the room and places everything in order. The greetings are warm but careful, like diplomats at a fragile border. Our talk is polite. The kitchen smells of rosemary and orange peel. The forks touch the plates with soft musical sounds. Time has a shape when you decide to hold it. It narrows. It sharpens. At 6:24, I step into the kitchen to check the rolls, and I am only gone long enough to send a single word to a pair of phones. Now, when I return, the room looks almost gentle. Grayson laughs at a story he has told before. Sloane listens with the still attention of a person who understands the cost of listening. Jenna studies the candle flame the way a sailor studies wind. The second hand on the clock makes its quiet parade. The hallway breathes. Then the doorbell rings, a bright chime that cuts the table in half. I set down the serving spoon. No one else moves. The sound hangs in the air like a high wire. I walk toward the door with the boards behind the sideboard, with the broken HDMI port, with the emails I did not send and the words I chose with care. I place my hand on the knob. The bell rings again. The bell sings a second time. I open the door. Edward Langford steps in first, a winter coat over an immaculate suit, the restrained fury of a man who has not yet decided whether to break or to build. Behind him comes Marion, calm as deep water, a silver line of hair at her temple catching the light. Seattle rain clings to their shoulders like a second skin. Across the table, Sloane does not breathe. Her face stills the way ice stills. Beside her, Grayson's hand slips. The stem of his glass touches the plate, a small bright sound, and the scotch overturns in a golden arc that never quite reaches the linen. "Mr. Langford," I say, and then gentler, "Marian." I leave out every other word that would only make smoke. No one sits. For a moment, the apartment holds 5 separate weathers. Grayson's disbelief, Sloane's calculation, Edward's hunger for proof that is colder than anger, Marian's silence that weighs more than any speech. My own heart steady and fast, like a runner who knows exactly where the finish line is. I do not touch the remote. I do not wake the screen that failed during rehearsal. I reach behind the sideboard and slide out the boards. The paper is white and matte. The images are plain. I place the first on the table where all can see. A hotel lobby at 2:15 on a Thursday. 2 figures at a low table. Their knees mirror one another. In the glass of a nearby column, a clock face glows. The timestamp is typed beneath in clear black letters. The lobby at the Four Seasons, I say. Public space? Public light. The time aligns with Grayson's calendar entry for a client lunch. Sloane's chin lifts by a few millimeters. It is a soldier's movement, so small that it reads as defiance only if you are looking for it. The second board shows a street of winter storefronts. Grayson and Sloane stand in the long shadow of a bus shelter with paper cups in their hands. The picture is not about touch, and it does not need to be. Their bodies tell the story in the angle of shoulders and the ease of shared space. Pike Place, I say. Middle of the day. I set down a third board. It is not a photograph. It is a clean grid. Date, time, amount. A line item from our household account for a public garage by the courthouse. It is the kind of ledger any adult could print from a kitchen table. This charge is visible to me because it is ours, I say. No devices were accessed. No walls were crossed. The fourth board belongs to Edward in a different way. It is a table he brought into being with his reply, conference room bookings at his firm, entry and exit logs, after-hours access that matched the places I had named. He does not need me to read the lines out loud. He knows the shape of his own house. Sloane finds her voice and aims it like a blade. This is illegal surveillance. I tap the first board, then the second. These are public places, I say. Nina observed from where anyone could stand. I touch the third. This is a statement from a joint account. I stop before the fourth and lift my phone. Taylor. Her voice opens into the room from the speaker, even and precise. No private devices appear to have been accessed. No private residence appears in any image unless it is the home of the person who granted consent. If there is a dispute, the court will decide. I advise everyone present to speak carefully. Tonight is not a trial. Tonight is a reckoning between people. Silence arrives like snowfall. It softens the edges and makes every footfall deliberate. Masks are heavier than they look. They leave a mark when they slide free. Sloane turns to Grayson first. For a moment, I think she will reach for him. She does not. She keeps her hands at her sides and lets her words cross the table without ornament. "You were a bridge," she says. "No more and no less." He blinks. His mouth opens as if to protest, then closes on a sound that has no syllables. His face changes shape, the way a shore changes as the tide draws back and reveals what was always beneath. Marian inhales and the world realigns around her breath. She looks at Edward, and in that look there is an entire summer of children at a lake, and a lifetime of dinners where he came home late, and the unlit weight of a truth that does not wear perfume. "Tomorrow my attorney will call you," she says. She does not raise her voice. She does not need to. Grayson turns to me as if the floor has moved an inch and only I can tell him where to put his feet. For the first time in a long time, he does not hold the expression that wins rooms. He looks like a boy in a suit that is too heavy. "I could not stand to fail in my father's eyes," he says. The sentence is a confession and a plea and a habit all at once. I feel the ache of the years inside the simple shape of those words. I do not step toward him. I do not carry his weight anymore. "You are not allowed to win by erasing me," I say. "Not in this house. Not in any house I live in. The screen remains dark and honest. The paper is enough. I place the last object on the linen. It is thinner than any of the boards, and it matters more than all of them combined. The divorce petition is in a plain folder with a tab that reads only my name. Taylor prepared this, I say. It is not a performance. It is a choice. I look at Grayson and at no one else. From this moment, I choose myself. The rest, the court will sort. Sloane's composure fractures so quickly that it makes a sound. She gathers her coat without putting it on and leaves her wine untouched. The door opens and closes, and the hallway keeps her footfalls for itself. Grayson stands. He looks at the folder as if it is a fire he cannot approach and cannot ignore. In his eyes there is the beginning of something like understanding. But it is not my work to tend it. I will send for my things, he says. And because there is still some grace left in us, he adds, I am sorry. I step aside so that he can pass. He does not look back. Edward moves as if to place a hand on Marian's shoulder. She turns slightly and his hand finds air. There is no scene. There is only a line that will be walked by day. The storm ends the way storms end. Not with a trumpet, but with quiet. Nina wraps the boards, the evidence of what was seen and what was checked against other light. She confirms with a small nod that the camera in my home recorded what my home had a right to record. She leaves with the calm of someone who knows the difference between a secret and a record. Jenna wants to rage on my behalf. I can hear it in the muscle of her breath. I do not feed that fire. My hands shake when I stack the plates. My voice does not. There is no victory shout here. There is a woman standing in a room she paid for with years and tears, and also with a kind of discipline that looks like cold water and is actually a form of love. Morning makes a clean edge. 3 small notes mark it without speech. An email from Taylor. Filed. A cardboard box at the door with Grayson's name written by his own hand. A message from Marian. Thank you for the truth. By afternoon, the rain thins. I take down the wedding photograph. The frame leaves a pale ghost on the gray wall, the precise shape of what used to live there. I bring in a tray and a small can of paint. The color is deep ocean blue, the shade of a Pacific morning before the light climbs the ridge. With each stroke, the gray recedes. With each stroke, the room takes a breath it has been holding for years. When the wall dries, I set yellow tulips in a glass at the center of the table. Their petals are small suns that do not ask permission to burn. I open the window a hand's width. The city answers with the sound of distant traffic and the quiet voice of rain. I do not tell the room what it means. I let the color say it. I let the air say it. I let my steady heart say it. If you are listening to this and something in you has been made smaller by love that is not love, know this. There are doors you can open and there are hands that will steady you when you step through. You are not alone. When the last glass is washed and the linen hangs to dry, the story leaves the room and settles where it always meant to live. Inside the quiet choices that shape a life. It is easy to name the bell, the open door, the faces that hardened or broke. It is harder and truer to name the practice that brought us there: patience, record-keeping, asking for counsel, honoring the line between suspicion and proof. The drama made a crack in the world. The discipline carried us through it. If there is a lesson, it is not that spectacle heals. It is that clarity does. Love without respect is a room without air. Courtesy without reciprocity is a script that erases the lead. When you feel yourself shrinking to fit someone else's comfort, the first rebellion is not loud. It is a sentence you say to yourself in the morning, and again at night. I am allowed to take up space. From that sentence flow the careful acts that restore a person seeking lawful help. Keeping your word to yourself, telling the truth without cruelty, refusing the invitations of shame. Another lesson lives in the faces we would rather flatten. The husband with a bright future and a hollow center. The colleague who learned to trade tenderness for access. Their choices harmed others. Their pressures do not excuse them. Yet when we admit that people are made of more than one note, we reclaim our own complexity too. We stop narrating ourselves as victims or avengers and begin to live as full human beings who can grieve, set boundaries, and still refuse to hate. And there is this. Justice, when it comes, is not the firework over the harbor. It is the lamp you turn on each morning. It is the email that says filed. It is the wall you paint a color that steadies your breath. It is the sister who sits beside you, the investigator who honors the law, the attorney who asks you to protect your future self. It is the knowledge that even in the darkest room, the truth does not need to shout. If you are listening from a chair where you feel smaller than you were meant to be, let the simple tools of this story be yours. Keep a clear record. Ask for professional guidance. Speak softly and stand firm. Choose the light that belongs to you, even if your hand trembles when you first reach for the switch. The bell rang. The door opened. What mattered most was not who walked in, but who walked out changed. The lesson is not revenge. The lesson is return, the slow return to dignity, to color, to breath. May you find your way back, one careful step at a time, and may you leave the door open for someone who needs the courage of your example.